Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Government House, Yarralumla. My name is Paul Singer and I'm currently acting as the Governor-General's Official Secretary. And as this badge signifies with its cross quills, I'm also the Secretary of the Order of Australia, whose Council recommends appointments and awards in the Order's General Division to the Governor-General, who is Chancellor of the Order of Australia and Principal Knight of the Order. I'm also the Secretary of the Australian Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for bravery awards. I'd like to particularly acknowledge among our distinguished guests this afternoon the Honourable Steve Irons, representing the Prime Minister of Australia, Senator David Smith, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Vice Admiral Michael Noonan, Chief of Navy, Air Marshal Leo Davies, Chief of Air Force, Brigadier Khalil Fegan, representing the Chief of Army, the Honourable Shane Stone, Chairman of the Council for the Order of Australia, Ms Mary Wiley-Smith, representing Commissioner of the Australian Public Service Commission, Chief Officer Joe Murphy, representing the Commissioner of the ACT Emergency Services Agency, and Mr Philip Flood, President of the Order of Australia Association. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special day, not only for recipients but also for their families, friends and communities. It is a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. As staff at Government House, my colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that achievement. I hope we can help make today an occasion that you'll recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand as Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Lady Cosgrove enter the room. Please remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the Australian National Anthem. You're all encouraged to join in, and the words are in your program. The investiture will then begin and proceed in the order listed in your programs. After I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway on my right, and after they've been invested, will leave via the central aisle to take their seats at the back of the room. At this point, you may like to show your appreciation with a short applause as each recipient leaves the room. At the conclusion of the investiture ceremony, the Governor-General will say a few words. He'll then leave the room and I'll invite recipients to join him and Lady Cosgrove in a formal photograph at the state entrance stairs. To assist recipients in making their way to the state entrance, could I please invite guests to remain seated briefly while the recipients are proceeding to their photograph before joining their excellencies in the dining room for refreshments. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please relax and enjoy this very special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of His Excellency the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Her Excellency Lady Cosgrove.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of her appointment as a companion in the General Division, Ms Jill Bilcock. For eminent service to the Australian motion picture industry as a film editor, to the promotion and development of the profession as a role model, and through creative contributions to the nation's cultural identity. Ms Bilcock is one of Australia's leading film editors. Her work has long been recognised as highly skilled and innovative. Her rise to prominence locally and internationally has created a truly significant and groundbreaking body of work, and her more than 30-year career is without peer. She's assisted many of our finest and most celebrated screen talents to shine more brilliantly through her efforts and skills. More importantly, her artistic choices as a film editor established the look, feel and pace of some of Australia's most iconic and successful films. Ms Bilcock continues to be an inspiration to this nation's film industry. Ms Jill Bilcock, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, just pop around here. I'm giving orders, sorry. You're more...
You're right.
But you've worked with some of the real heavyweights, Sam Mendes, Fred Skepsey, there was another wonderful, Baz Luhrmann, of course. Muriel's Wedding, Red Dog, Strictly Ballroom, they're all films you've worked on?
Yes.
But I understand that when you were much younger, you were forced to cut your first film on the kitchen table because somebody else at school had knocked off the editing machine, is that right?
Well, the truth was we didn't even have an editing
There we go. That'll do it every time.
the first year of the film course in Australia, the first film course.
Well, you are part of the wonderful artistic fabric that this nation produces, and we're so proud of you. And I just wonder a little later with these Canberra Institute of Technology folks we have all around here, would you be able to spare them a moment, just a little bit after the investiture? They'd love
Sure,
it.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, they'll know more after you've had a word.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Mrs Dawn Fraser. For eminent service to sport through ambassadorial, mentoring and non-executive roles with a range of organisations and at all levels, and to the community through roles in conservation and motoring associations. Mrs Fraser is an icon of our nation's sporting history. Her achievements in swimming are legendary and help place Australia firmly on the international sporting stage. Her post-Olympic career has included a lifetime of tireless advocacy on behalf of the community. She's dedicated herself to a variety of sports-related endeavours, has served as an athlete liaison officer on Olympic teams, helped to preserve Australian wildlife and strengthen the governance of our largest motoring organisation. Mrs Fraser is truly a remarkable individual, a role model for women and young girls, and we are deeply indebted to her. Mrs Dawn Fraser, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Well, hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Here we go. Thanks this way. That was a special one. Everybody knows our Dawn. You are truly an Australian treasure, but some of the more important accolades, you were named as the world's greatest female water sports champion by the International Olympic Committee in '99, and you were named as Australia's greatest female athlete in 2013 by this nation. And you've been obviously an Olympic champion, you've been an ambassador for our sport forever, and not only your business career, which has been referred to there, but your philanthropic work, particularly to uplift young Australian athletes and not least swimmers, is legendary. You're a legend, and today Australia honours you with its highest award. Congratulations, Dawn.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Emeritus Professor Geoffrey Harcourt. For eminent service to higher education as an academic, economist and author, particularly in the fields of post-Keynesian economics, capital theory and economic thought. Professor Harcourt can be counted as an eminent elder in the profession of economics and in the intellectual development of Australia. He has made important contributions to the understanding of the works of John Maynard Keynes and is regarded as a leading pioneer in economic thought. Additionally, he has contributed at the highest level in multiple fields in academic publishing. Professor Harcourt, through his industry and generosity of spirit, has ensured that high standard of scholarship that Australian teaching and research in economic theory enjoys. Emeritus Professor Geoffrey Harcourt, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Can we just hear? Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Congratulations. The list of your academic posts is endless. Come around here so they can all see you.
I hope they're watching you.
You're the star. You've had posts, 7 separate academic positions with Cambridge. I counted them up. You can check them later. Adelaide University, 5. Melbourne University, you've got 8 distinguished associations, like distinguished fellowships and fellowships from all different associations. You are an icon within your section of academia. You're most important to our sense of economic understanding in Australia amongst those who manage the economy. In all of this, you've been just a mentor for generations of emerging economists, and Australia now acclaims you with its highest award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Appointed an officer in the General Division, Emeritus Professor Robin Craik, for distinguished service to administrative law and to education as an academic and author, to public administration and tribunal practice, and to professional bodies. Professor Craik has made a highly significant contribution to Australian government, the law, and to the community for more than 40 years. She is a leading public law academic with both a national and international reputation. She has authored leading texts, and her academic achievements have been instrumental in positively affecting the lives of thousands of Australians. Professor Craik's commitment far exceeds that which is often recognised as outstanding in the legal profession. Emeritus Professor Robin Craik, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes, you got it for sure. Yeah. Just stand here just for a moment. This stewardship of yours of Australia's Administrative Law, you're a founding member of the Institute of Administrative Law, I think, yeah. Working at ANU.
Yes.
And I think you were at the Australian Military Justice Institute.
I am. And in fact, I was one of the people who actually asked for it to come to ANU, so I've been involved with it from the beginning.
Well, in all of that, your service to the people of Australia through the application and understanding of administrative law is immense, and today you're recognised. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Appointed an Officer in the General Division, Mr Bruce Miller, for distinguished service to public administration through diplomatic roles and bilateral trade agreements, and to fostering cultural and strategic partnerships with Japan. Mr Miller has been one of Australia's most respected and effective ambassadors to Japan. He served in that role for 6 years, which marked the culmination of many years of active service in building modern Australia-Japan relations. His tireless efforts now see Japan as our key partner in North Asia and amongst our closest friends internationally. He also played an instrumental role in the development of several landmark economic, defence and security bilateral agreements. Mr Miller has rendered deeply valuable service to our national interest. Mr Bruce Miller, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Here we go. Congratulations. No, this way. No. Just stand here for a minute. I understand your great love and interest in Japan started when you were 11, and you studied Japanese at university. 14 years you served in various postings in Japan, and during that time, as we heard in the citation, that economic and security dimension, those two dimensions of the relationship have been nurtured to a degree where probably nobody thought they'd get there, and here they are. Your stewardship of that relationship has been immense, but you're also in the Office of National Assessments in two separate occasions, and you just finished off being, before retirement, an acting director. So you've been a wonderful servant to the Commonwealth. We thank you for it.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Appointed an officer in the Military Division, Vice Admiral Michael Noonan, for distinguished service to the Royal Australian Navy in significant command positions. Admiral Noonan has distinguished himself in senior operational command roles in the Royal Australian Navy, the Australian Defence Force Joint Operations Command and Maritime Border Command. He has successfully managed complex operational circumstances whilst guiding fundamental enterprise reforms. His commitment to duty has improved training outcomes and personnel management. Admiral Noonan's service to our nation represents the finest traditions of the Australian Defence Force. Vice Admiral Michael Noonan appointed an officer of the Order.
There we go. Just here for a moment. It's terrible when the Admirals start looking young. But you joined the Navy in 1984 and you commanded HMAS Parramatta as one of your commands as a major warship, and you were a Director General of Australian Defence Force Operations for a posting at an enormously important time. And more recently, you've been in charge of Maritime Border Force as part of the Maritime Border Command, part of Border Force. And that, of course, too, is a very important military command within Australian Border Force. And now you're commanding the Navy, and I think the Navy is in excellent hands. Well done.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr Peter Butler, for significant service to the community through a range of charitable organisations and to the provision and promotion of pro bono legal services. Mr Butler's consistent contribution to the health and legal sectors is exceptional. Underpinning his charitable endeavours is his concern for and commitment to improving the lives of others, particularly the well-being of children. Mr Butler has also shown the same care to those within his chosen profession of the law, both to the recipients of legal services and to the lawyers who serve. Mr Peter Butler appointed a member of the Order.
Good afternoon. Congratulations. Now, you were the chairman of Cure Brain Cancer and also Starlight. One of those. Chairman, is that the right title?
Chairman of Starlight.
And what about Cure Brain Cancer?
So I was member of the board of Cure.
Okay. And both of those we can understand readily how you are devoting your energy and no doubt many other resources to that worthy cause and, of course, the treatment of brain cancer. You're associated with Freehills, aren't you? You've managed to get Freehills, a great law company, to donate 45,000 hours of their time for pro bono work. That's magnificent. And I think that with that we can see that you are a person whose professional skill and energy is to helping others. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr Geoffrey McNamara, for significant service to secondary education, particularly in the disciplines of science and astronomy. Mr McNamara is a high school science teacher who, for the past decade, has been educating students at Melrose High School in Canberra. He's an exceptional, highly motivated teacher who has developed and teaches a successful curriculum to engage high school students in science and technology. Mr McNamara's passion for inspiring, encouraging and developing future scientists brings great credit on himself. Mr Geoffrey McNamara, appointed a member of the Order.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
There we go. Come here. You're a teacher.
I am.
I like to stand next to teachers now I'm out of school. You've received numerous awards for your teaching, both in physics and for more general teaching. You've written 100 papers, or more than 100 papers, and you've written 3 books on astronomy, astrophysics. And you are the driving force behind the Astronomical Teaching Observatory at Mount Stromlo, which is, when's it going to be delivered?
Well, we've been running for a year and a half.
It's been going?
Yes, but we're about to replicate it.
We're going to do that?
Next year.
In the same?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is a gentleman who's a teacher and he's teaching people to reach for the stars. Well done.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Dr Reginald Storea, for significant service to agriculture, specialising in soil science, to education as an academic and administrator, and to the Catholic Church in Australia. Dr Storea has been dedicated to agricultural science and higher education throughout his career. As an eminent soil scientist, his work has contributed to the improvement of plant productivity. Dr Storea has also provided guidance and inspiration to young scientists from rural and regional centres and has achieved what most academics strive for, a legacy of students who are improving our economy and society. Dr Ray Storea, appointed a member of the Order.
You've been involved with soil science since 1959, so that's your professional stream, but you're also deputy principal of the Signadu campus here in the early 90s, probably right at the outset of ACU, yes. And I noticed that you've also been chair of the Diocesan Education Commission. So we've heard in the citation at large your interests, but this is just an example of the way you've dedicated your life to the science of the soil, the nurturing of it, but more than that, the education of people. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Brigadier Craig Ferrini, for exceptional service as the Director of Coalition Joint Strategy, Plans and Assessments on Headquarters Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve on Operation Okra from February 2015 to March 2016. Brigadier Ferrini's vision and perseverance resulted in the production of a coalition campaign plan for the defeat of Daesh in a complex geopolitical environment. He displayed superior planning skills, diplomacy and judgment, sensing coalition nations' concerns whilst maintaining campaign objectives. Brigadier Ferrini's achievements have brought great credit upon himself, the Australian Defence Force and Australia. Brigadier Craig Ferrini, appointed a member of the Order.
Good afternoon. Now you played a key role in getting together groups which, for all kinds of reasons, had pressures to stay apart and frictions between them. Popular Mobilisation Forces, the Kurdish Peshmerga forces, and you had to sort of meld them into a campaign plan which they would agree to before they could then go about the business of expelling ISIS from their territory. And you did that marvellously. You had that coalition planning conference in 2015, which was key in mobilising these people and getting them on the same hymn sheet. And then off they went and did the job. No wonder you've been recognised. Keep up the good work. Well done.
Thanks.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Colonel Nicole Sadler, for exceptional performance on duty in the field of mental health leadership, strategy and reform for the Australian Defence Force. Colonel Sadler has made an outstanding contribution to improving the understanding of the mental health needs of Australian Defence Force members. Colonel Sadler's efforts have progressed the evolution of military mental health policy and program evaluation. This has enabled Defence to optimise the well-being of its members, thus improving their quality of life during and after their military careers. Colonel Nicole Sadler appointed a member of the Order.
Good afternoon. Congratulations. Now, you joined the Army in 1990 and you've been most recently, of course, working very hard within the services to develop a mental health strategy for the identification and relief of people who have mental issues through their service. And didn't you just develop with DVA a transitional and well-being plan? It's a joint thing with the Department of Veterans Affairs.
A big research program.
Yeah. When does it deliver?
We're starting to see the reports coming out now.
Okay, so that's ongoing work.
Yes.
Well, wish you more power to your efforts. Well done.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr John Harrison, for service to veterans and their families. Mr Harrison has been involved with the Naval Association of Australia in the Australian Capital Territory for many years. He has performed a variety of roles with the association and has been tireless in his work to assist members of the ex-naval community. Mr Harrison is a shining example of giving back to others who have served in the defence of our nation. Mr John Harrison awarded the Medal of the Order.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Not too bad. Shaking a bit.
Me too.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Stan.
Thank you. Sure.
Joined the Navy in 1947.
Yes, I joined in the very first intake of Fleet Air Armours to join the RAN.
Ah, well, and then you served till 69, I think.
I did, yes.
And almost straight away, there's a little bit of a gap, but then you joined the Naval Association and you've been in that veteran space for all that time.
That's correct.
And you're now working as a counsellor and an advocate with DVA?
Yeah, still doing a bit of that, yeah. As I get older, though, and I'm in my 90th year on the planet now, it's getting a bit more difficult.
No, we're not letting you go that easy. Another 10 years and you get a nice telegram.
Oh, thank you. That'd be wonderful.
Your blood's worth bottling and you look after veterans and they love you for it. Well done.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs Lynn Kirban, for service to people with a disability and to community health. Mrs Kirban is an active and valued member of the Bega Valley community. She's been a passionate fundraiser and driver for the provision of accommodation for carers and family members of patients in the local area. Mrs Kirban is proof that one person rolling up their sleeves can truly make a difference. Mrs Lynn Kirban awarded the Medal of the Order.
Afternoon. Okay. So you've got hockey and those sorts of things you do, but what I really admire about your work is that you get money out of a stone. You fundraised $450,000 for the community carers facility, is that right?
Yeah, about double that now.
No, but that was just the start.
Oh, yeah, the start?
Then you got $400,000 out of the federal government.
Yes.
Well done. And then you got somebody else to match dollar for dollar.
That's right.
So now we're up to 1.2 million.
Yes.
And you got another 300,000 from somebody, is that right?
State government.
State government, well done. Okay, everybody sew up your pockets.
I'm on the loose.
You have boundless energy and know-how, and without that money, those things could not be done. So you're a credit to your community. What's your association in Pambula? What do you do there?
I'm president of the local Rotary Club.
Rotary. I knew it was one of the service clubs. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Keep up the good work.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Geoffrey Larkham, for service to rugby union. Mr Larkham is a notable figure in the sport of rugby union in the ACT region. He has voluntarily given of his time as a player, coach, official and senior administrator, and has dedicated himself to the growth of the game and the development of playing standards and values. Mr Larkham is highly regarded as a good sport, but most importantly, as a great sportsman. Mr Geoffrey Larkham awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hi, Jeff. How are you? Good. Here we go. Thank you. So you've got more lives than a cat because you've been awarded 4 life memberships by various levels of rugby union in the ACT. You were the captain coach of Lyneham Cumber West around the 80s, but the real thing that has earmarked your time has been your long and illustrious stewardship of ACT and Southern New South Wales Rugby as the chairman and president?
The president.
President. And in all of that time, of course, the Brumbies became the sort of global household name as a provincial team. One of your kids had a bit to do with that too. But you are Mr Rugby in the ACT, and this has been recognised, and we want you to continue your association with the game they play in heaven.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Ms Margaret Ning, for service to conservation and the environment. Ms Ning has voluntarily given many years to the promotion, appreciation, education and conservation of Australia's unique reptiles and amphibians, as well as our natural environment. Ms Ning's efforts have resulted in a positive cultural change to conservation, and she's inspired others in their endeavours to help preserve and protect our native grasslands and fauna. Ms Margaret Ning awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good afternoon. There we go. On. Now you started. Well, you're in your working life. You're a statistician.
I was in the Bureau of Stats. Yes.
Oh, okay. You say that in a guilty way. No. But then we get into your love of fauna and flora. The fauna, though, are quite unusual. You've been in every office of the ACT Herpetological Society. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have.
This lady likes snakes. Did you leave your handbag anywhere in the audience? Just check it. But you also have been a promoter, maybe the founder of Snakes Alive. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Not the founder, but we keep it going. Our annual reptile and frog exhibition every January, Snakes Alive.
Okay, every January when they're active and they're running around and slithering. Yeah.
They're in enclosures, except for this is at the Botanic Gardens, and the ones outside are the problem.
And you do work with children so that they can develop a love rather than a fear. Yeah. Well, look, you're a wonderful adornment to the community, and please keep your work going.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Sid Pashalides, for service to the Greek community of Batemans Bay. Mr Pashalides enthusiastically serves the community of Batemans Bay in a range of roles and has done so for more than 3 decades. He is a leading light of the local Greek and wider multi-ethnic communities, and he's been instrumental in showcasing and preserving Greek culture. Mr Pashalides' contribution to the local oyster growing industry is also to be applauded. Mr Sid Pashalides awarded the Medal of the Order.
We'll have to just turn it a little bit. There we go. Now, otherwise I'll drop it. There we go. There we go. Give me your hand. Shake hands. Shake hands. Yeah, you're not nervous, are you?
No.
No, don't go away. Just turn around. There they are. This man was responsible for the creation of a place of worship, Greek Orthodox Church at Bateman's Bay. Not only is that a place of worship for those of the faith, but he turned it into a community centre. And now that community centre also is a hub for all kinds of activities beneficial to the wider community in Bateman's Bay. These are all down to this fellow. And indeed, you work your oyster leases daily in the River Clyde.
The best oysters.
Of course. You heard it here. Congratulations. Please keep up the work.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Ms Alison Russell French, for service to conservation and the environment. Ms Russell French has been a driving force behind the protection of Australia's bird life and endangered species, as well as our natural environment. She's worked diligently for the conservation of birds and ecosystems at the national and international level, including those endemic to the Canberra region. Ms Russell French's efforts are truly worthy of our recognition. Ms Alison Russell French awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good afternoon. We are.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now, we happy? Yep. You're a senior public servant in your working life, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yep, okay. And you've been a Rotary since about 06 or something like that. And I think you've also been involved, heavily involved, probably one of the moving lights of the Alliance Française here in Canberra?
Yes, for a while, yeah.
Okay. So you add all that up to what you're doing as the citation read, and you're obviously a person of great energy and dynamism. Congratulations.
Love birds.
Love birds, of
Yes.
course. We love them too.
We move now to the Distinguished Service Decorations. Awarded the Commendation for Distinguished Service, Major Brian Hickey, for distinguished performance of duties as Officer Commanding North Baghdad Operations Command Advisory and Assistance Team, Task Group Taji 4, Iraq, on Operation Okra from November 2016 to June 2017. Major Hickey distinguished himself through the design and implementation of Task Group Taji 4's advisory and assistance team in support of Iraqi partner forces. He established a vital role for his team which enabled them to effectively integrate into the architecture of Northern Baghdad security operations. Major Hickey's achievements contributed greatly to the ongoing security and safety of Baghdad and the force protection of the task group. Major Brian Hickey awarded the Commendation for Distinguished Service.
Congratulations. Now, during that time you were working with the Iraqis, there was enormous surge by the Iraqi security forces to liberate parts of the nation that had been overrun and dominated by ISIS. And I believe that when you were in full swing, the troops you were working with had something like 22 battalion and brigade operations and 2 divisional, 55 I should say, battalion and brigade operations and 2 divisional size operations. And you captured, I think, was over 100 IED vests and other bombs. And these were otherwise would have been used to blow people to kingdom come. So it was particularly effective what you did, and you enjoyed a huge reputation with the Iraqi security forces. And that's why you're being recognised as a thoroughgoing professional here. Well done.
And now to Conspicuous Service Decorations. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Commander Michael Miller, for outstanding devotion to duty as Deputy Director Operations within Maritime Border Command. Commander Miller significantly enhanced the operational effectiveness of Maritime Border Command through application of his extensive experience, analytical and planning skills, and exemplary management. Commander Miller formulated joint agency integrated patrol and response plans that have enabled long-range operation of the Cape-class patrol boats to assist their future operations. Commander Michael Miller awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Congratulations. Thank you. Now, you went to Maritime Border Command in 2016.
End of 2015.
Okay. And then while you were there, you had a 1.4 tonnes of cocaine, a seizure by people under your direction. And indeed, there was another matter where there was a fire on board one of the patrol boats, and you were able to assist in recovery from that. And then very sadly on one of the Australian Defence vessels, that's a border force vessel, there was the death of the captain, and you were able to assist the executive officer.
Yeah, that's correct, sir.
These small snippets from a very active time are just a slice of what these folks deal with on a daily basis, and that's why we recognise you today. Well done.
Thanks very much.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Charmaine Benfield, for outstanding achievement as a Staff Officer Grade 1 selections and appointments with Career Management Army during 2016 and 2017. Colonel Benfield fundamentally reformed and established new benchmarks that improve the manner in which the Australian Army selects and appoints people to officer ranks. Her achievements have resulted in an increase in the number of officers joining the Australian Army. Colonel Benfield's success in selecting personnel has markedly increased the sustainability and diversity of Australia's Defence Force. Lieutenant Colonel Charmaine Benfield awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Right.
Your Excellency.
Congratulations. Yes, Tim. You got the success rate of people through the door looking to be selected for officer training from 55 to 77% inside 12 months. That's remarkable. And I would say that's not by playing with standards. What that is to ensure that the right people are attracted in the front door in the first place. So that's where obviously you focused your efforts. And the huge benefit to the Australian Defence Force, Navy, Army and Air Force is almost incalculable, and you should, every day you go home and congratulate yourself by saying, in amongst that lot will be the senior leaders of the Defence Force in years to come, who otherwise may not have made it past selection. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Robbins, for outstanding devotion to duty as a Senior Instructor Land Intelligence Wing, Defence Force School of Intelligence. Colonel Robbins displayed foresight, commitment and strategic awareness in his position at the School of Intelligence. His dedication has resulted in the modernisation of the training and doctrine of Army's intelligence workforce. Colonel Robbins' efforts have directly contributed to a positive cultural shift and are in keeping with the finest traditions of the Australian Defence Force. Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Robbins awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hi, Dennis. Good.
Thank you, sir.
You've had tours of duty in Afghanistan and East Timor, I think. Yep.
That's right, sir.
And beyond that, of course, what happened when you got to your calling in charge of intelligence training within the Army is that you discovered a body of doctrine that was perfectly good for places like Vietnam, Korea and World War II, but in the fast-changing threat environment, it needed to be revamped and made more pertinent to the challenges of today. And you had to do that in a big hurry, and you did it. And we're now in a much better place. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Squadron Leader Samuel Harkis, for outstanding devotion to duty as the Information Systems Technical and Acquisition Manager within the F-35 Alpha Joint Strike Fighter Division of Capability Acquisition and Sustainment Group. Squadron Leader Harkis has been pivotal in advancing the acquisition and technical aspects for the introduction of the F-35 Alpha Joint Strike Fighter into the Australian Defence Force. Operating in a highly technical and dynamic environment, he has ensured Australia remains at the forefront of this advanced program. Squadron Leader Harkis has established the foundation for the information systems to successfully support the Joint Strike Fighter's initial operational capability. Squadron Leader Samuel Harkis awarded the
when they call you back. That's correct. Is that because you have to back or there's some other reason? So you have to have the people in the house. But you started with forces when it was known as civil defence. Okay, and when did it change? It changed roughly about 5,000. Yeah. That was the Natural Disasters Organisation. Yeah. And from there in 76 they played the rest of this. Okay. And you've been volunteers sort of almost representative at the ACP level for some years now. Well, we think the world of the issues. Wherever they are, they're always there and they just rush to work when there's an emergency, whether it's on the highway or assisting the fire service or after a cyclone, they're there in the recovery and doing a great job. And they're proud representatives. A leader. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation this afternoon, and now invite the Governor General to address us. In traditional hours of the honour which we my respects for elders past and present, and elders from other communities who may be with us today. Today is going to include the investiture of Dr. Barry McGowan, who is a person whose contribution to the community had been immense. Unfortunately, I was called his bedside last week. His doctors had advised that he was much too ill to expect to be here today. And he was lucid and made a lovely speech to his family and to my small group as we got into our own. And he passed away on the weekend. So just at this moment, to the folks who would have met and would have congratulated him and he would have congratulated you, we send our thoughts to his family. It's been my privilege to invest those being here today. I've been asked by young kids who come here in their thousands. We have 20,000 school kids come here every year. And frequently the question that we pose, what's the best thing to do as Governor General? And there are so many opportunities one gets that it's, in the first place, when I first had that question sometime in year one, I sort of thought for a moment, well, it's obvious it's the investitures. And why the investitures? Because asylums, both permanent and those who have regarded themselves as the most ordinary members of the community, stand together, are recognised together. Some are given the highest awards we can possibly give to a person of global eminence. Others are recognised with that wonderful staple of our award system, the Medal of the Order of Australia. They are equally wonderful Australians in the sense that it's their energy, their devotion, their genius sometimes, which has led them to be recognised by their community. I'd like to say on behalf of all the people in the front row, all those people who are here to observe those who have been invested today, and to all the families sitting nearby for those who have been awarded, that we all think that those who have been recognised today are marvellous. We ask you please to continue your wonderful efforts, because you will anyway, but because we now look to you to inspire others. We look to the way in which your example will show to other members of our great Australian community. We look to the way you will inspire people around your community and indeed around the nation to do that extra bit that you have already done. We ask you to do that for the example you'll create, and we ask you to do it because of the immediate impact you'll continue to have. So we're extraordinarily proud of you today. We hope you've enjoyed to the election ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this afternoon's investiture ceremony, and I now invite the recipients to join the Excellencies on the stage and stage for photographs, and certainly just to join the Excellencies and recipients in the dining room for refreshments. Thank you and good afternoon.